This is Mario Andretti, and you are listening to Below the Yellow Line.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Below the Yellow Line. NASCAR used to call that ARCA race on Friday, Thursday night, whenever it was, ARCA Night in America. I feel like we're doing ARCA Week in America here on Below the Yellow Line this week. Spoke to Caleb Costner last night, speaking to Christian Rose this afternoon, and then tomorrow we'll speak with our good pal Ryan Roulette again. So, Christian, great to have you on the show. Thank you so much for coming on. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I appreciate you having an outlet that we're able to come on to. Appreciate you reaching out and looking forward to doing it.
Absolutely. It's always great to hear from those within the industry, those actually doing it. And one thing that people might not know about you, I always say that every race car, well, I always say every race car driver is good crazy, but I also say every driver has a start, and most of them now seem kind of cutter. It's, oh, I started racing when I was 4 or 5, but racing wasn't always your one sport. You played college baseball at Maryland Eastern Shore. How is the transition going from, throwing a baseball, hitting a baseball, to driving a race car at 200 miles per hour?
Yeah, I mean, it might not sound as crazy as a lot of people think. I think the competitive nature of being in the sport that I played for 20 years definitely feeds in the racing side, the fitness, the preparation, the discipline, all the stuff that goes into being a pitcher at the collegiate level definitely translates to the racing side. But throwing a ball is completely different than driving a race car 200 miles an hour, right? So that was a learning curve, obviously. We jumped right in the super late models, and we struggled. I mean, I really didn't find some success until last year, and I really haven't hit the point where I think we can get to. And that's an exciting thing for myself, and I think a lot of guys on our team, is that all these guys have raced since they were 5 years old, 4 years old, and I've been doing it for realistically one full-time season. Since 2019 is when I got into the sport, but we've only been doing it for one full-time season, where the most the most laps that I've ever gotten, most races I ran was last year. So I think where you saw us running in the top 5 at the end of last year is going to translate in us continue to grow, continue to get better, and that ceiling, I think, is going to be something pretty high when we can hit our stride fully.
I think the transition has worked out really well, and you've proven to kind of be a natural at this. And in AM Racing, they are the team that you drive for in ARCA, and they noticed that last year. They said, okay, you know what? You're doing pretty good in ARCA. How about a National Series ride? How about a Truck Series race at Richmond? What was it like making your debut in the Truck Series, a series that always has something going on? It's, in my opinion, easily the most chaotic racing series that there is,
Yep.
especially in stock car racing. What was it like to be out there with those guys, the big dogs, you could say, at the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series?
Yeah, I mean, it first of all, it was a dream come true. Somebody who's always been a racing fan, to run on the Truck Series. I grew up watching, Crafton and those guys, Sauter. So, to go out there and be on the same track with somebody like Crafton and a lot of my heroes, I mean, that was a really, really cool experience, let alone to do it 2 hours from my hometown. I grew up, that's the closest racetrack to me. So to have that opportunity, Secure Testing Services was on board for it. They're a Richmond-based company, and it was just it was almost meant to be, the way the whole deal kind of came together. So the experience was definitely an eye opener, because like when you make that jump, I mean, ARCA, you got 7, 8 cars at times out there that are pretty competitive. Truck, it's 35. I mean, you have a full field of trucks that are within, half a second to 8/10 of a second of each other, and you're racing with your tongue hung out for 29th. I mean, it's crazy. So it was definitely an eye opener on that. And, we made the adjustment when we went to Phoenix, and we ended up running, I think, finished 16th, just missed we were having a top 15 run all the way to the last corner there, at the end of that race. So we made the adjustment there, but Richmond, it was a struggle. It's a tough racetrack to get around, wears the tires out. And I mean, it's very technical. So great experience to get to do it. Would love to do it again, but I mean, definitely you can see the rookie stretch came out for the first one there.
Hey, BTYL fans, hope you're enjoying our interview with ARCA driver Christian Rose. But before we can continue with the interview, I got a special promo code for you guys. Right now, for only 5 more days till January 31st, you can use code BTYL10. Again, that's code BTYL10 to get 10% off your order of Wicked Mix and Wicked Minis when you call them in or order via the phone. Just call 501-374-2244. Again, that's 501-374-2244. Tell them about the Below the Line podcast and code BTYL10 and receive 10% off your order. You can go to moonlightmixes.com to browse their selection, see what you want to order, and then call them 501-374-2244. Use code BTYL10 to get 10% off your order of Wicked Mix and Wicked Minis. The offer will expire on January 31st. Back to the interview. Well, You in rookie stripes versus me with rookie stripes, just driving would be, I mean, a whole different thing because you had plenty of experience in ARCA before. You weren't completely blind out there like some guys are. And what was last year like in ARCA for you? You're going into this year with that year of experience. Last year, you didn't have that full year of full-time experience. So what was that like for you being out there your first full-time season? Did you kind of feel like a deer in the headlights, or did you become more acclimated as the season went on?
I felt like we were as ready as we could be for it. I did get to run a fair amount of races the year before, obviously on a full-time schedule, but to go to a lot of different tracks, like dirt racing, something I've never done, road course racing, something that I've never done. So to have the platform ARCA gives, which allows us to run on so many different tracks, it definitely teaches you a different set of skill sets at almost every place we go to. So I think it was a transition of learning new racetracks, learning new skills, and then also trying to catch up to the competition with the gap that I have from my racing past. So I think towards the end of the year we got there, and that's a talk that AM Racing and we all had when we first sat down in the initial conversation was just go run all the laps, and I thought we did a phenomenal job doing that last year. We led the circuit in completed laps, ran 97% of them, and at the end of the year we were running in the top 5 and competing for top 5s. Kansas, I think we finished 6th. Bristol, we ran inside the top 5, came home 8th, I think. Salem's another tough racetrack. We brought it home 3rd, and then 5th at Toledo. So that stride that built from finishing all those races throughout the season, I think we'll be able to take it into this year, and I think we'll be a serious title contender this year.
You certainly can be, and I like that you mentioned that track experience. There's no substitute for it. That track time, whether it be for an engineer group, a driver, a crew chief, whoever, it's irreplaceable, and it's great to have that. Great to have all those completed laps, and you did also completed every lap, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, in that truck race as well. Just experience laps, so helpful going into this year, your second full-time year, and you said it just now. You think you could be a championship contender when you look at AM Racing, when you look at Christian Rose in this 32 team? What are your expectations? How many races do you think you can win? Do you think you could be holding up that big shiny trophy in Phoenix when it's all said and done?
Yeah, I mean, I fully expect to be the guy to beat for the championship. I fully do. The preparation at AM is done. I mean, it's been super exciting seeing the prep going into 2024, even when we were still finishing the season in 2023. So went down to the Daytona test, had a really strong 2 days there. Very excited. Our team's meshing really well. The chemistry's there. It seems like a dream scenario. We still got to go do our jobs. I got to do mine. Back up last year, finishing all the laps. And then obviously I think if we can translate those top 10s to top 5s, I really think we'll contend for a couple wins this year and have a shot to go win it all. And it's not to take away from anybody on the circuit. I'm just very confident of the group we have and what we can do.
Well, confidence is key. Having a fast race car is key too. But if you walk in defeated, which it seems like y'all aren't doing that, you don't have a very good shot to win. But you guys seem to have all your ducks in a row, seem to have all your cars in a row and ready to go at Daytona here. My last question for you. That Daytona test was a big deal really for us fans and media people because a long dry spell, 2 months, which doesn't really compare to other sports off seasons, but for us it's like finding man in the desert, just finding any piece of racing action, anything to talk about. What is it like from a driver and team perspective? Obviously you have Daytona coming up in about a month after the test, but what was that test like? How many notes did you guys take, and how excited are you for that season to start and for this off season to finally be over?
Yeah, I think the same thing for drivers, like you just mentioned. You get to the off season, it's nice to have a couple of weeks, but I mean, by the time Thanksgiving rolls around, it's like, man, you want to be back in that car. So counting down those days at test is always a fun thing to go down there and kind of get your feet back wet and learn the new crew guys you have and kind of see what we got coming out the gate. And we took a lot of notes. We were very strategic in what we did down there. And the exciting thing was we came down with a checklist and we did everything we wanted to do. We executed it, and that's what championship teams do. So very proud of our group, the way that everybody's approaching the season. Pickle, our crew chief, I mean, he's on top of it. Wade Moore, the president of the team, they're on top of it. I think you can see with bringing Haley Deegan in and stuff AM's doing, it's only going to translate to the ARCA side and continue to grow the program. So that's the reason we ended up with AM, is the vision they put forth, and it's been a blessing to be a part of it and just a small part of their group. But the excitement for Daytona is there. I mean, when we got the car at the end of the test, I mean, I was pretty pumped up what we have for Daytona, and I wish we were racing that weekend, to be honest. So it sucks to have such a fast race car and then have to wait a month, but the days are clicking down here pretty quick, and I'm amped up to get to Daytona.
Can't wait to get there. I believe February 17th, Saturday the 17th, FS1 MRN. You can see Christian and a lot of other guys we've talked to on the show and all those ARCA drivers out there competing to get the season started off right. Christian, thank you so much for joining the show. And AM Racing's slogan is future focused, and I think that definitely applies with what you guys are building, and you especially looking to be a championship contender. So thank you so much for joining the show, and we wish you and the team the best of luck for the season and beyond.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having us. Love the outlet. Love what you guys do. So thank you for having us on.